Guess what? It's number 20. That's right. Number 20 of Nobody Told Me with Mike and Blaine. And I got to tell you, I'm excited about this one because it's an easy one for us to talk about. Blaine, what's up, my man?
Oh, doing good. And it's fun to have, like, this is a round number. This is a big one. The big 2-0. Nice.
Yeah, right. I can remember when I turned 20, right? So it's like it's a big deal. Even when you're just getting that old, it's a big deal.
Oh
But
yeah.
20 episodes, I mean, we're kind of legit now.
That's yeah, exactly. We're like, 20. No, it's next step is 100.
Yeah.
Well, we'll try for 25.
That seems so far away now.
I know,
I
yeah.
just said that. So,
But 20 of them, that went quick. Like all of a sudden we look back and there's 20. That's pretty cool, man. That's great.
you know what it's been? It's been the fact that I told somebody this the other day. I said, if anything, it gives me a chance to talk to him every week.
Exactly. It's the most fun part of my week. So this is I look forward to this every week more than virtually anything. So we can do a million of these episodes. I'm happy with that.
Oh, easy, easy. So today we're going to be talking about what tools we think you need to have versus what you want to have, or what stay away from the ones we've already had troubles with. And I don't want this to be a bashing thing. We're saying these are tools, right? When you run a small business, you got to have some tools.
Yeah.
I think we just talk about our experiences, both good and bad, or things that are. I definitely want people to know what we think you have to have. Like you don't need to start a business unless you do this. So, but let's drink some beer first. Let's open up some beers.
Yeah, for sure, man. What do you got going today?
Okay, I found another Texas brewery, right? Another Texas brewery. They're called Community Beer Company, and they're in Dallas. So right up the road. I say right up the road, and it's like 4.5 hours up, up the road. But they're up there, but it's a Mosaic IPA, so an India Pale Ale. And I think this is the first bottled one I've had on the show. I think I've been doing cans. But when I looked across, I just went to this little store kind of off just because, and all of the cans we'd already kind of had. So I'm like, I'm gonna have to find a new store or drink bottles.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's nice you got another Texas one. That's great. It's let me show you what I got going today. So I went to the liquor store the other day and I thought, well, I'm just going to pick up, a few cans and have something for, in the fridge and also for our recording. And then I walked out with like a dozen cans of beer and 2 big bottles of like Bottle Logic Imperial Stouts and stuff. So I bought like way too much stuff, but this was a fun one. This is from Tombstone Brewery in Tucson, Arizona, which I've been to. It's great. They have some really good breweries down there, man. But this is interesting, called Plug Ugly India Pale Ale. And it is a collaboration with the city of Tombstone Fire Department. And so I bought this, and the lady at the till said, I got to tell you about the story about this, what Plug Ugly refers to. And this is amazing. Back in the, I don't know, late 1800s, I'm thinking something like that, fire stations were all independent. And so when there was a fire, they would have to race to the scene. And the first one to plug into this old rickety water line, this wooden water line, would make the money from putting out the fire, and everyone else. So what they said is each fire station would have these big, ugly mother truckers that would be the first ones. They would get there, jump off the truck and run, and they would fist fight to see who gets to plug in. And so they called it Plug Ugly, because if you plugged in, you would win. And when you look at these guys on the can, I'm like, I'm not sure I would want to run into some of these guys either. I think, it's the biggest, ugliest one. That's the one that would do it.
They look like the bare knuckle boxers, right?
Exactly.
Oh my God. And I tell you what, I love Tombstone, but let me tell you, I went from Tucson to Tombstone and I got tricked. Right now, I love Tombstone. I don't think about that, and I like beer. But there was these signs all along whatever the interstate that is that goes down along the southern border, north of Tombstone.
Yep.
And it says, "Oh, come see the wineries, the Arizona wineries, whatever it was." So I got off of the interstate, went down some back road, and pulled up to a classic Arizona winery. and it was somebody's trailer with just a pickup truck sitting outside. I'm like, I think we might be a prisoner if we go in there. So we didn't go, but I just sat and made fun of it the rest of the time. And my buddies are all like going, dude, why did you ever think you were going to run into a good winery down there? You know, that's where the Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner.
That's what you said when you said winery. I'm like, that doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound right.
Yeah. So yeah, it was like bathtub wine or so. I don't know what it was, but I'm like going, yeah, they're going to keep us if we go in that place.
Yeah, no, you do not like just turn around and boot it out of there, man. That's yeah, I'm not sure about Arizona winery. I'm going to just put the beer can up there.
And no offense to any cool or great Arizona wines, but that was not one that I was going to, take a risk on.
And I'm not sure if there are Arizona wineries that are legit. There probably are. I just I would have no idea, but it sounds a little suspicious to me.
Where are they growing grapes in? And what was I thinking? They're not growing grapes down there. Come on.
No, I don't know. It's like, I don't know, a cactus wine. That's all you see, cactus and dirt, desert.
Okay. See, you could probably do that. A little cactus wine, a little, well, good. All right. So let's talk about tools, right? Because it's changed quite a bit from when I first started a business back in the 1900s to now. What I think you need versus what you don't need, I think it's all changed, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the biggest thing to me, even though I've always been a proponent of accounting systems, they've even changed so much where back in the day, it was Peachtree, right? When I first started, that was the industry leader. It was the industry market. And I know they were bought by Sage, and now they're like Sage 50 or one of those things. But Peachtree was it. But here's what happened to me with Peachtree. And I'm talking about a long time ago. We're talking, 25 years ago. Got an MBA. I could not figure this thing out for nothing. It was so not friendly. I got it installed on the computer. It was hard to operate, hard to get around. The very customer experience with that Peachtree product way back in, we'll say 2000, made me a QuickBooks customer. Right? So I went out and got QuickBooks. I'm like, I can't figure it out. So I just wasted all kinds of money on a product I couldn't figure out because I bought the market leader. And that's when you had to buy it in a box at Office Depot. Remember that? You go to Office Depot and buy it. So that was my first experience with software that didn't work.
Yeah, I had very similar. Mine was MYOB, and I didn't even have the benefit of an MBA. So when I started opening up this accounting software, and I couldn't make heads or tails of it, and I'm pretty sure I may have just started bringing the receipts to the old bookkeeper again and going like, "You do it," because I didn't have a clue. And now, I'm in QuickBooks Online. I've got, you've got, bookkeeping services, my accountant and everything. They're all deal, but I can log in anytime and I can run reports and I can see what's going on. And they'll send me a quick, what were these 3 transactions for? Okay. That means that my bookkeeping for the month took me 3 minutes. And that's amazing because everyone can get in, and that's just such a massive step forward. Right. And easy to use, easy to use.
Yeah, we just started off with accounting, right? Because I think that's the basics. That's the foundation for everything. Is okay. Yeah. You got to have some way to keep this up, and I don't think Excel does it anymore. I don't think pen and paper is going to do it anymore. It's going to cost you a lot more money if you try to not use an accounting system and then get somebody to do your taxes, because they're just not going to want to do it. They're just not going to deal with you.
Actually, I think there was a time where in between, I think I maybe used FreshBooks, which worked really well at the time for me, but we became integration partners with DryRun with QuickBooks, and I wanted to actually use it. So I think maybe on the advice of my accountant as well, we switched to QBO, and of course Xero is a terrific product, and there's lots of great products out there. But if you're just getting started, there are some really inexpensive or free products that you can use to get started, because you don't have that many transactions, but boy, you have to keep track of everything. You still have to have everything, organized, right?
Yeah, well, I think that's true. And I think it depends on, what stage of life your company's in, right? Because FreshBooks, you're just starting out, maybe one-man show, it's pretty good. Wave, I actually used Wave myself as just an independent person because it was so easy. It was just me, my transactions, my invoices going in and out. And it did everything. And I think it was free. I don't think I paid per month. Or if I did, it was something really, really small. But then as you move up,
still free or used to be free. Yeah. I think it's still maybe free. So if you're starting out, it's a great option.
Yeah, but what these products started offering, like the big thing for me with QuickBooks way back was their payroll service, right? Because I didn't have to do all the calculations for withholdings and I really truly just put in the number of hours somebody worked and press print.
Nice.
That's because I paid for their service, and it made it so easy. Even the reports at the end of the quarter, end of the month, whatever they were holding, they were already calculated. I didn't have to do a lot of work to do that. So I think you save yourself a lot of money if you try to find a system that can both grow with you, because you go to QuickBooks and Xero, maybe MYOB, but then you kind of go up the value chain a little bit more. You've got the Intact. What's the other one? Acumatica. So
that's sweet. Yeah.
Just know that finding the right accounting system for where you're at, and there's probably 3 levels right now, just keeping it simple, where you got kind of the independent contractor, you've got the QuickBooks for kind of the most small businesses. And then as you get a little bit bigger, maybe towards that 50 employees or more, or got a lot of inventory, maybe one of the larger, products. And that's kind of where you stick right now, right? Aren't you like Intact, Acumatica?
Yeah, like we're like QuickBooks and Xero, where QuickBooks Online and Xero was where we started, and then we moved to we rolled out Intact. We still have a lot of customers on QBO and Xero. We've just rolled out NetSuite. We'll be rolling out Dynamics soon. Acumatic is one on the list as well. But what we're also seeing that's interesting is that Intuit, especially, is not really all that happy with everybody leaving to go up market. So they seem to be evolving the product to move a bit into that mid-market with this QuickBook Advanced. I think it's got a ways to go. I'm not super familiar with the differences, but I know they want to keep those people, they want to keep those businesses in their ecosystem. They don't want them to leave right away, right?
Well, and what's happening also is that most of those customers are enterprise or desktop, right? Because it's much more robust. It's got a lot better inventory features, got a lot more just power, right? More high powered accounting in their desktop product. But everything's went to the cloud, right? And I've seen that evolution from everything being desktop. Then it was a hybrid where somebody just had the idea of like going, hey, I'm not always at my desktop. What if I'm, in a different city and I want to get a file that's on my desktop? So we started using hosting services, right? And that really evolved into the cloud after that. So you've got kind of that evolution of the cloud, and now everything's cloud, and I love it in the cloud. I really do. I mean, it's so much easier for everybody.
I can't imagine the company running on desktop anymore. And especially like you mentioned, some of these bigger ones that are still on desktop, and they may have to move to like an Intact or a NetSuite or something else, right? But man, the benefits of being in the cloud. First of all, people think like, early on years ago, the cloud, it's not secure. It's not this, not that. I'm like, yeah, your laptop that you left on the seat of your car when you walked in to grab some gas, that is apparently more secure than Microsoft. The security level is multiple times better. You can log in from anywhere, but so can your team, so can your accountant, so can your bookkeeper. Everyone can, and it's one source of reality, and it's backed up. Like nobody, no matter what they say, they don't keep backups like they should. And here it's all backed up for you. Like it's amazing, the advancements. And we haven't even got into like the integrated tools yet.
Oh, and it's not just backed up, it's redundancy too. It's not just in one location like Microsoft or Amazon. You're in 2 or 3 locations. So if something happens in Seattle, they got another copy of your stuff in, Boston.
Exactly. And it's from a minute ago too, not last week, right?
Right. One of the cool things that they were doing in Seattle, Microsoft with their cloud storage, while I was there, they were putting them in the ocean. Think about this.
Okay.
It was the coolest. I mean, because you think of a big warehouse with tons of servers, things like that.
Yep.
What they were doing was testing out, and I think they still do it. And I can't verify that, but I can't imagine that they got that far and stopped it. But they were putting these large pods in the ocean because it kept the servers cooler.
Yeah.
Right.
Interesting.
And
Yeah.
there was a way that the water, the environment around it actually kept the servers cooler. And they were hidden. I mean, you couldn't just go to a building.
Yeah.
You got to figure out, well, okay, where they put them in the ocean.
Yeah. Yeah. And they probably have a bunch of like subs, and
Oh yeah, I'm sure
genetically engineered sharks and stuff. All
but it's not as easy to attack as a big building in the middle of Spokane or in the middle of Washington somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So I thought that was just one of the coolest ideas of people really thinking outside the boxes. Hey, we can actually use the weather, not the weather, the temperature of the water to keep these things cool.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I think you're right. Like, I think the first thing is get your books in order, because it's just incredibly important, no matter how big or small you are. Like even small, start out right, because as you grow, you start growing faster. You don't want to be scrambling to figure stuff out. But so what is your next step? Like what would be the next thing that you'd say, okay, goes hand in hand with that, and I need it?
Well, all right. So, I mean, you're going to need a way to communicate and develop things, right? I mean, if we're just talking basics, and then we're not going industry specific about maintaining inventory and things like that. Google or Microsoft Office, you're going to have to pick one of those, right? I mean, you want Google Docs, Google Slides. You're going to need a way to communicate with the rest of the world, and it's going to come down to preference, right?
Yeah.
Do I like Google or do I like Microsoft? And I've used both. And I think the functionality in Microsoft is better, but Google's pretty easy, right? It's pretty easy to use in a lot of ways. I think Google integrates better with itself.
Yeah,
it's kind of my thing, but you need it, and both of those come with a way to get to email, and I tell you, I wouldn't overinvest in email. I remember, trying to set up our first mailboxes, those type of things. I wouldn't overinvest in it. Get the cheap, easy thing. I mean, Gmail can help you customize with your domain and do it that way and done. Because I think it's still valuable. And we're going to talk about this, I think, in one of our episodes. But I don't know how much more effective you can get with email in the future. I think it's going to be harder and harder. I think it's a diminishing, I think it's going to.
I think it's becoming more playing its part. It's almost like snail mail. Like it plays its part. Some stuff's going to come way more on courier now. A bunch of electronic plays a small part. I think email will be much more like that. Like, I don't think it'll go away because it serves its purpose, but it isn't the same as, all these other systems in chat and Slack and, all of these, right? So it's there, but yeah, I wouldn't invest much in it. It needs to be there.
So what do you think about snail mail? I mean, how do you personally respond to it?
Well, I've, because we spend like, some time down here in the States, a lot of our, time in Canada, we're back and forth and all that. We have gone paperless for virtually everything we possibly can. So when we get home in the spring, we'll have a stack of stuff this big, and it will be flyers and Christmas cards. That's like that's it. That's virtually it. Nothing actually important will be in there, mostly. And same thing here. It'll be just basically junk mail and advertisements, because we don't get anything useful. And it is awful, because it's like, man, there's a lot of stuff we have to recycle that we won't look at.
It doesn't even make it in my house, right? I've got the trash can before I even get when I'm coming to the garage.
Yeah, in the recycle.
Here's 4 things I need out of this 50, and and the 4 things. One of them might be the Baylor Alumni Magazine. Right?
Yeah, it's not even that exciting.
That, but most everything else done, because I don't get any bills. I don't get there's nothing that comes. Maybe occasionally the mortgage company will send something, or I don't know. If it looks kind of official, I'll put it aside and take a second look at it. But other than that, I just pitch it
all. And the thing is at one time it felt like it was more important to have physical things, but what changed it is search and save and backup. So I want everything coming in digitally. That's the stuff I want in email, because I can search for it. If it's important, I can save it. And guess what? My entire drive is backed up to the cloud. so I'm not going to lose stuff. And this actually goes into one of the other things I got to recommend. This is a tool that I think everybody has to have, is a receipt management tool. So I use auto entry. Friends of ours that just sold to Sage not too long ago. There's Receipt Bank, which is now called Dext, HubDoc, or a couple others. But what is magical about these is I don't have to keep receipts anymore. So almost everything comes into email for receipt, and all I do is forward, and it magically goes into that system. And if I do ever get a paper receipt, I take a picture of it, and it magically goes into that system, and I don't do anything else. It's just unbelievable, right?
Yeah, Wave does that as well. But I did some work for the Neat company, right? Neat. And what's funny is I'm a long time customer of theirs. I mean, I bought, remember, I'm going to say mid 2000s, they came out with the Neat receipt scanner, right? It was sitting on your desktop and you just put all the paper. This is before you could take pictures and all that.
Yeah.
You would put, just the receipt in, and it would read it and organize it for you. And I used that for several years. And they got out of the scanner business and just into the software business. And now they've built an accounting software system too that integrates all of that into one. So you don't need QuickBooks and auto entry or QuickBooks and Dext, or, they're doing it all in one. And they got some pretty cool things coming out associated with that. So it's interesting you say that, because I think that's right. That
makes it easy.
Have a way, just go paperless from day one if you can, right?
Oh, yeah. The worst thing is like you can't find a receipt for something. You can't, like, the time wasted on stuff like that is so, and it is a pain. It's like, where is it is it in a folder? I've got to keep copies for 7 years or whatever that, garbage, at least up in Canada. So just to be able to just have stuff automatically going there like magic, and forward an email is easy. And like, it's a big day when I have to take a picture of a paper receipt.
Well, and here we go. This is how I used to do business, right? It just, hey, can you find anything in there? I am always flipping through. All right, but check this out.
Always got that.
Right? When I switched earlier this year to all Apple, now I was a Windows guy my whole life, but I'm not going.
Sorry to hear
that. Well, but I had an iPhone, and I'm like going, I don't like they don't all talk to each other. Now I got iPhone, I got the Mac, I got the Mac Air sitting right back there. But I went to this, right? It's the iPad.
Yep.
And I'm just taking notes like it is it's got this app called Notability on it. And I could take a note just like anything here.
I should do that, because I like, it's funny why you're saying that, is right beside my desk. Here's my phone. Here's my iPad. Here's my watch, all connected to each other. And I even have an Apple Pencil, although I think I left it in Canada, but maybe I did bring it down, but I still can't get past paper for jotting crap down, right?
Look at this. I was writing on it just like it's paper, and then I can convert it to text so that it can be searched.
Oh man, that search is so valuable. I think you might have sold me right there. I'm gonna have to Notability. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, it's called Notability. And then I took a screenshot while I was in the presentation and just copied and pasted the screenshot into the notes so I could remember back and forth. And then I used the pencil and circled what I thought was important. Is that crazy? On the picture, inside the note.
I think I'm gonna have to move to that.
It looks just like my notebook, except for now I got pictures and I can convert it to text, what I think is important, and search it.
That search is, because I will say that I've got, like, I'll usually have a stack of notepads that are a foot thick. And then you're going, well, shit, how do I find what I'm looking for? And like, I always put like a big date on the top, so I can, as I scan through my book, I can at least find the date and try and figure stuff out. That searchability is really, well, then I'm not using paper so much either. It's just a habit. It's a habit coming from my old art and design days, where paper is paper, right? But I'll have to move past that.
What's funny about this little section that we just did is, if you didn't have a reason to go to YouTube and watch what we did, you wouldn't have solved Notability.
It's true. Yeah, it's true. Here we're describing something that you probably couldn't see. I got to tell you, this is a paper thing. It annoys the hell out of me. So I got this. It's a little bit of paperwork where I have to send somebody a signature. You can do signatures online, digitally, everything else. I do that weekly. These guys, and they do not need a digital signature, would be fine legally. I know it, but they're behind the times. So they sent me a piece of like a PDF that they want me to print out and sign. Then I found out my printer back here, all the ink was dry. So I went and bought new ink, but the heads seemed to be so clogged that when I tried to clean the heads, it would start telling me that the stuff I just bought were now empty as well. Like I got to get a new printer. So
yeah, I've solved that, and I can't wait for the story to be in.
Yeah, so I went and printed this stuff out, and I filled in the stuff because they had locked the PDF. That was the other thing. I tried to edit it. I always do that. Nope, they locked the sucker down. So I couldn't add text and I couldn't add a signature. So I had to print it out and sign it. So I went somewhere, got it printed, came back, signed it. And then I look and I'm like, I was too lazy to get the scanner going. So I took a picture of it and emailed it. It's a digital high-res copy that is completely clear and easy to see. And the email response I got back is, can you scan it and send it? Because he could see this little bit of desk around the outside. And I'm like, I'm just going to scan it rather than explain to him. A scanner is a picture.
Yeah.
I just sent you one that you can read. It is exactly the same thing, but here's businesses that are making it impossible for their customers over something so incredibly silly that it's mind-boggling to me.
Yeah. See, all right. So I took my signature again, and I have it just in a PNG. Right, it's just a
I have two versions, just so they look different when I have to do two.
Did you know, like on Apple, instead of taking a picture, you use Notes, and it scans it? Did you know
I have done that before recently and completely forgot. But there's no difference then. Like it is literally a picture.
Yeah, it is because it crops it all out perfectly, and it creates a scanned version of it. So you want to add more pages, and it'll create one PDF out of multiple pages and everything like that. So instead of taking a picture of documents, use the notes function and scan them in the notes, and you won't know the difference.
I'll do that, but you know what? I can also know I can open up Photoshop, crop it, bump the white level up a bit, send it back, and he's not going to know the difference. Like, it's the same thing. It's digital data. You can read it, but it's because at one time people would probably accept a fax, but they wouldn't accept an email for unknown reasons, right? It's bizarre, but there's just industries that are way far behind. I will do the notes. Well, I've got a scanner right there. I could just use it and send the bloody thing away, but it just annoys me.
It's so easy to do it on the phone. It does everything for you. Hey, but check this out. You talk about signatures. When I was a trooper, I could arrest you for murder, put my own signature on it, send it in, and it would go through the court system. If I arrested you for DWI, I had to go get my signature notarized by a notary, and you're talking in the 90s. I had to go physically find notaries to figure this stuff out. I'm like going, how can I arrest somebody for murder, but not DWI? You trust my signature on one and not the other.
Oh, that's bizarre.
It was one of those technicalities where if you didn't get it notarized, and so you didn't follow process, so you're a terrible police officer, and they throw out the case.
That's seems like a money-making scheme for somebody there.
Ridiculous rules, right? So, all right. So we've been hammering on sales in the last ones of these. I mean, from websites to marketing to events.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite CRM, customer relationship manager?
We do, absolutely, and we're really partial to. I'll be honest with you, I'm partial to it. We use Pipedrive. Okay. I'm sure there's other, we've just used it for so long that there's probably all kinds of cool ones out there. I really like it. Our team really likes it. We actually integrated Dry Run with it because we just really like it. And for now, I think it probably depends on the type of sales you do and your sales cycle and how you do it. With us, we have, they tend to be larger sales and they move through stages. And so we can have all of our, different people in different stages, and you literally click and drag them over. You add some notes, you send a reminder for yourself to pop up and say, don't forget to email this schmuck, and off you go, right? I even use it for when we were doing fundraising, like, so I can track everybody. Like I find it really easy to use, and it does the essentials and nothing else. It's not super complicated. So our entire team has it, and you can go into different pipelines and see different stages and all that. So that's the one we use.
Sorry, I got distracted because and I actually like Pipedrive, and they have some other add-on products or like they have an email marketing system. I think it's called Mailigent. I mean, they got some other cool stuff. Yeah. I was like, oh man, this thing is stout. I just opened up a second one. I'm like, oh, it has a really robust flavor. It's like for an IPA, it's like, oh, you're getting it. And I'm like going, how much alcohol is in this? 8.6. I'm like, oh my gosh, I better slow down.
I still have in the fridge that I keep thinking I'm gonna have to wait. I'm gonna have to open that one up. I have a 17 point something in the fridge stout, and I'm like, not for this, right?
Here's something cool about their label. I don't know if you can focus right, but it says suggested drinking glass, and it gives you a picture of the glass you should drink it out of.
Nice.
Super cool. I mean, just little details, right? Little details.
Yeah. And and you've probably seen, like, I use a sort of a tool.
Yeah.
It's my favorite glass. And I drink a lot of stouts, right? So like a barrel aged stouts, and for that, it's really terrific. But I'm so used to that glass that even though I have all of these, like the one that on that label, I've got a bunch of those. I've got a bunch of these different, like a whole bunch of different, and I always grab that glass, that type of glass. And I just don't really know why. It's not even the proper one for a lot of these beers.
Yeah.
That's the one I like. I don't know why, but it's just never going to change, I don't think.
I am sure one of these days somebody's going to point that out, says he's drinking that out of the wrong glass.
Could be. But I will say back to them, I've probably tried 2,000 or 3,000 different beers. A lot of them were this glass. And you know what? It works pretty good for them. I like that glass, and I like the feel of it, the comfort, but I also think the tulip is the best way, and that's why the use of tulip, I think, it's the best way to have the aroma from the beer, the drink come out. So I think it's seems like a good idea for an IPA as well, right? I might be wrong, but anyway.
Okay, so Pipedrive, I have experience with it. Do they connect to there's some landing, or they do landing pages, or they connect to a landing page creator?
I think I'm not sure, because we don't do that. It may connect to a landing page creator. What we do is at various times we've used, we've gotten Pipedrive forms that you can build in Pipedrive. We'll put it on our own landing pages. People can fill it in, and automatically goes into Pipedrive. And we have stuff going with like Zapier. I don't know if you use Zapier. We got stuff going left, right, up, down, everywhere with Zapier, right? So I can't follow it all, to be honest, but yeah.
I wish I would have created Zapier. And matter of fact, at Path, that was the thing I was working on as I left, was a Zapier integration where you could take data from all these other places and put it into Path. It's like, it's slick, man. It's just how they did that was just fantastic. I mean, so if you're a software developer out there right now that's looking for more data sources, man, connect with them, or to connect with other applications, just use Zapier.
It's a slick little tool. We use it just for so many different things. And like I look in our Zapier file, I don't know what half of it is, because it's just different team members who've got stuff going here, there, and everywhere. But it works really well to keep your data consistent and accurate, from let's say from into Pipedrive and then to another system. And, we even have we record a lot of our Zoom meetings, then it automatically, using a Zap, to download it to Google Drive so that we can get it off of Zoom before they come bash down my door because we're using too much space on Zoom. It's really, there's some really slick stuff, and that automation, that's not the stuff you want to waste time on. Easy automation stuff that can just take so much time.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So originally, I bought into the hype with Salesforce. I'm like, oh, that's going to be the way of the future and all that. And then again, I had a bad experience, and it's so complicated and it takes so much effort. It really took me away from some high value tasks, right? So that's where I think they opened it up for smaller companies. I mean, Salesforce, I think is great now, but if you're US Bank, right? If you're,
Exactly.
if you're Ford Motor Company or something like that, maybe Salesforce is the way to go. But I think if you're Mike and Blaine's business in, Scottsdale or San Antonio, probably Pipedrive. I have really fallen in love with HubSpot. It's just easy to me, and I get it, and I get the controls. It's not the easiest for everybody. One thing I don't like about HubSpot is the way they price. I mean, I'll just say that out loud because I've told them that, right?
Yeah.
And the way they price is, by contacts, number of contacts. I'm like going, man, it doesn't seem like that should be the metric, but maybe it is.
Like it's sort of discouraging you from
Putting
like
people.
it forces you to purge, right? Like to get rid of stuff all the time. And that's not necessarily what you want to do. Like at times you want to, but there's at times like, I just need these ones in a holding pattern for 6 months. You don't need to pay for it. And that's like, we use Intercom for our, for like within our app. So we can chat, like our customers can chat with us through Intercom. We can, the app tracks, like keeps track of when they've triggered things within the app themselves. We can automatically send the messages either in app or via email. Like this, it's really slick, but it also charges us per user. And it's like, I kind of get it, but I kind of like, we got to go and you sort of have to keep cleaning house every once in a while, right? And that's a little bit frustrating, I find.
Well, yeah, it forces you to make the decision. Are you worth a license?
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it.
So that's why I always like per company. Like, I don't care how many people in your company use it, because I think it makes it more sticky if you got 10 people like using the same product. I like the per company pricing on that, but I liked HubSpot. But there's some simple things out there, like when we're talking about, like, have you heard of Apollo or any of these like social sellings? Well, it's got kind of a built-in CRM as well, and there's a free version of it.
Okay.
But Apollo allows you it connects to like LinkedIn, and if you want to connect with that guy and his email address is in LinkedIn, you just press save to Apollo, and it puts all of his information, everything into Apollo, and kind of tracks everything for you. You connect it up with your email, and you can send email sequences out of it. But it's kind of an easy, quick way. But it also, if there's information like an email address on LinkedIn, it gives that to you.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Nice.
So there's ways to do that. So, it's a way to, you're not going to use it to get 1,000, contacts for an email list, but you'll get it. If I want to reach that 1 or 2 people, like, man, I just want to know somebody at Dry Run. Well, if your email address is on LinkedIn, I might be able to get that and send you an email. Right.
Yeah.
So that's one way to do that. So, I think smaller, my advice would be, simpler, and know your sales process.
Yeah.
Know your sales process. I mean, you don't want to get too complicated with it. And if it integrates with other things, even better.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. I totally agree, because it's more scalable when it integrates. And I had a brief experience with HubSpot, but it was more, a few years ago, more on their automation side, and marketing automation. And we were way too young and a company and way too small to use HubSpot at that time. But it also left a bit of a bad taste in my mouth, because I'm like, this is way too expensive and not doing what I thought I was going to do. And it's like they should have vetted us more, going, no, this is not what you guys need. So forever, I've had this bad taste in my mouth because of that, where, at some point it may be a good fit for us, but we were not sort of properly qualified for that, I don't think. And, but I like how you say, like, keep it small, keep it simple. And as things plug together, you can pick the perfect tools and plug them together and make them work for you, because it's hard to get one tool that works great for everybody. And I know with our sales team, I don't even know the names of some of the products they're using, but they're using one that's on LinkedIn, does some really great stuff. And just like you said, it's not like trying to reach thousands of people. It just makes it easier to reach 10, 20, like, it makes it just a lot smoother. Even with when we're doing like phone calls and email follow-ups and all that kind of stuff, we got systems for all that stuff. And you have to, because it tracks it, it makes it highly efficient, and records everything and keeps track of everything.
Yeah.
You can't do that on your own. Like, it just ends up wasting time.
You can't, right? So, I mean, the next thing I would tell people is, all right, so we're getting from general to pretty granular. And this is where it kind of divides to me based on, do you hold inventory, or are you more a service company with payroll? And I think what you got to do is find, the right inventory management system or the right timekeeping system, right? That'd be the next big decision I would make is, okay, I need something that can help me manage these SKUs, what's moving, what's not. Even when I had bars and restaurants, I still had 300 different items that are brought in, from lettuce to Budweiser. Right? So there's still a bunch of stuff that you have to keep track of and maintain an inventory level of. I mean, and you just can't do that on a spreadsheet as well. You just can't, right?
There's less and less every day that makes sense to do in a spreadsheet. It becomes so cumbersome, inefficient, out of date, and error prone. It's super cool because it's like Play-Doh. You can they're clay, you can kind of do whatever you want, but it's the problems with it make it just more niche, a little bit more niche, I think, all the time, where it doesn't do really heavy duty operational everyday stuff very well. And I agree. Like, once you get further and further into your business, you understand it really, really well. And as you get more and more like focused and niche, there's products out there for you that can dramatically change your business. They can be tricky to find at times, but when they all plug together, you can build these systems where it just, the whole thing is like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. Everything's ding, 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 and connecting together and working and all that. And it becomes really magic. And then it's you can spend your time doing what you need to do, right?
But here's the products that would have changed my whole life when I was in the staffing business. I had 500 employees, and because we invoiced the hotels and the staffing company I had, we'd invoice the hotels. I only accepted timesheets from the hotel back to me, right? So what I created was my own spreadsheet that the hotel filled out and sent to me, and then I would pay the employees off of it. What would have been easier is if we'd had these timekeeping things and the employees from their phone, or the manager, would have approved it. I could have put him as an approving person on those hours, and all of that would have been integrated. Because what we had to do with those timesheets was then re-input them into QuickBooks to pay people. Right. And where it became a nightmare is that let's just say, Blaine Birch worked at the Holiday Inn at the Marriott and the Embassy Suites all in 1 week. Right. I think with some of the timekeeping systems that are out there today, they would just say, hey, I'm working on this job. I'm working on this job. I'm working on this job. And then we could have, had an approval system like that. Instead, I had to go add it onto their timesheet. And then as I ran across their name again, I go back to their name and add it on the timesheet, in QuickBooks to be able to pay them.
Yeah. And the one thing I really want to emphasize is it's not just always like the levels of efficiency are multiples. Like, there's things you can spend days on and can go down to seconds or minutes, or you don't even touch it. That's how different it can be. There was I remember not too long ago, a couple of years ago, I was talking with someone that owned a plumbing company, and they were really frustrated because they had invoices that were so overdue. But not only were they overdue, what they would do is their team would go out, they would go to the call, they would do the job, and they would come back, and one of the staff would actually send the invoices out. It's like the end of the week or the end of the month. I can't remember which. Neither was great, but actually I think it was like once a month, and they would send out invoice. Well, of course, They hadn't written anything down properly. I'm not even sure they had all the jobs actually in there. Then they would send out an invoice on an Excel doc, but they would mail it. And then they would wait to get something paid that sometimes might be a $400 or $500 job. And they were always chronically owed a bunch of money. They would be writing off a bunch of money. They wouldn't have the proper notation on what they did. And the transition from them for them was, first of all, the person on site, when they do the job, charges them and runs a credit card right there. So they get cash immediately. It's basically like COD. That information goes directly into their system. They don't even have to send an invoice. It's already there. On the bigger jobs, they have the documentation in their iPad or phone or whatever, which is already goes into the invoice system. They basically send the invoice out, and they can even have automatic reminders. So you're going from somebody sitting down and trying to do this puzzle every month and being weeks behind on getting paid and having all these outstanding invoices to getting a lot of it paid on the spot, but saving hours upon hours upon hours. It must be absolute magic for a business like that to transform like that. And it's not expensive. At one time it would have been. Now it's like, man, it's probably cheaper than the spreadsheet you're using, right?
Yeah. All right. So here's a tough question for you. First of all, that's crazy. I mean, that's just the inefficiency of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
All these different steps, all these different processes, and
it still happens now. That's the thing, is like, there's still businesses that struggle with that now that can be dramatically improved.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. What's a product that people think they need and they don't need it? They just kind of want it, or it's nice to have.
Well, one fax machine. Some people still think they need a fax. The printer and scanner behind me.
I never use it.
I use it once a year, and the ink's dried out. Like I already said, it's useless. It's not necessary anymore at all.
Yeah, don't. If you're going to save money there first.
Yeah, especially a fancy one. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your money on it.
All right. So you said fax machine, but here's what I found out, that in the medical world, it's still necessity because they think that's more secure than email or any of these other things. So there's a regulation in HIPAA that requires people to send things via fax, even if it was just authorization. When I was in Canada, I had to get my medical records, but I had to fax an authorization, that my signature on a fax, and then they could email it to me. I'm like going, so I had to go down and bug the hotel staff on, hey, can I send a fax to America from here without being charged like $700?
It's mind-boggling, because and that goes down to, well, man, if you want to see anyone that's inefficient, throw government into anything. And I still know that there's different accounts that if you haven't logged in long enough, you have to phone them, and then they'll mail you a code. It's like, what are you talking about? And I can go to my bank and go online, and you need me to do a code to get information that no one cares about. Like, just nobody cares except for me, right?
But there is a thriving business right now here in San Antonio that does secured faxes for hospitals or medical environments. That's all they do. And it's a software product. And it's like, I don't know how, maybe they hold the faxes. I don't know exactly how it works, but it's a software product where you scan your document in and it gets faxed to somebody else, but it's going through their equipment or through their software process or however it's doing. I'm like going, and they sell that for big dollars too.
Yeah. And it's such a flawed idea. The idea that the most secure thing is a piece of paper that's lying on a desk that I'm going to scan, and if I haven't shredded it, but the idea that this, you have to have a password to log into, or a fingerprint scan or a facial scan or something. I think there's the technology is beyond more secure. They just haven't caught up yet, and they don't know how to implement it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. This guy took my piece of paper in Canada, went not behind the desk, went into an office behind the desk.
Yeah, took it. Yeah.
Where I couldn't see him, and faxed it. I'm like,
yeah.
How is that better than me just scanning it or taking a picture of it and sending it to you an email in my room? I couldn't get it. So
I had an experience actually just a couple of weeks ago where, we went and grabbed some brunch and they came and took my credit card and they went in somewhere else in another room. In Canada, I haven't had that in years.
no, because they bring the credit card to your desk or to your table.
They bring the little machine and you tap it and you go, here's your tip and get lost. But the card never leaves your site. I have not had a card leave my site in Canada in years. And I was just shocked. I'm like, where are you going with my card? Are you buying a TV? Like, that's what I'm thinking, right? And I'm like, what? And then I had to sign a piece of paper and I'm like, this feels like 1982 to me. Like, it was bizarre. And it's crazy how quickly I got adjusted to the next sort of version. I'll tell you one of the weirdest things one of the weirdest experiences when I think it was the cover on this phone. It's just an Apple cover. And I went into the Apple store and I picked it up off the shelf. And then I scanned it with my phone and clicked pay. And then it said, you can leave. And I just walked out and I bought it through my Apple account on my phone. And I'm like, I know they know, like I guarantee you as I'm walking out, they can watch me and my phone leave. They know, I'm sure that I paid for it, but it was the weirdest feeling to not talk to anybody. And it was like going to the grocery store, but in an Apple store.
Yeah. And that's what happened at the Amazon Go store in Seattle, like 4 years ago. It's a convenience store. You can get anything because you check in that you're there on your Amazon account as soon as you walk into the store, and everything is RFID from the ceiling down to you, right? So even if you pick something off the shelf and you hold it for too long, they're going to charge you for it, right? Or at least know that you picked it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then everything kind of, I think, gets counted or whatever when you go out, and then it hits your credit card as soon as you leave the store. No clerks, no anybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, all right. So cool. I mean, we went through a lot of stuff and didn't even touch it. I felt like we didn't even touch it.
We didn't even touch it. Like I have to throw in really quickly that the core of our business, like I have to have my email, Calendly booking system, which I use Calendly, Zoom and Slack. And I'm barely touching it, but those are really core tools for us. Like you and I are on Zoom right now. Our Slack channel is always going on. My calendar I live by. If something's not in my calendar, it isn't happening. Like I'm not showing up. Yep. It's amazing. We haven't even touched those things, but those are some of the most critical things too, to manage your time and to communicate with people.
Isn't that funny? We could have a whole episode on communication.
Easily. Yeah.
Easy. Or even just particular like forms of communication, whether it be video, or email, or whatever. So very cool. Hey, episode 20, man, we went through it and I drank a way too heavy beer.
It's not way too heavy. That sounds like a great beer. I'm looking forward to trying that one. I'll keep an eye out for it.
Yeah, there you go. So Blaine Birch, author of Pandemic Cash Flow, and I'm Mike Mylan. And man, this has been another episode of Nobody Told Me. And we were talking about tools you need to have versus tools you want to have.
Happy number 20.
Yeah, there you go. All right, man. Appreciate it.